Hello, my name is Herman McGee, and today I will be discussing the claims, questions for the claims, the warrants, and the impacts. Just as we learned in class on Saturday. The two prompts that I was given was women's rights and freedom of speech. These were the ones that I chose. My initial claim for women's rights was all women should be able to have the same rights as men. I questioned how many rights should they share. I also questioned how could you get these rights, but then realized that rights are God given, so you can't give a man wouldn't be able to give you a right, right? How could they lose these rights? Maybe seeing if incarceration would affect this, but I don't think that was a topic that I needed to add, so I didn't put that in my warrants. And how many women should not have these rights or should have these rights? I then rephrased my claim to say that women don't have the same rights as men. I felt that was more complex and easily more justifiable, right? I then wrote down my two warrants. So I had abortions and the right to earn fair and equal wage. Then I put it together and said, women don't have the same rights as men in the United States, since women's bodies are restricted through abortions and because they aren't given fair and equal wages. Then I went on to the impacts. They should receive more rights, and they should receive more rights. Therefore, the lack of rights for women is directly contributed to the economic and social destruction of our country. Just since if we aren't getting the workforce of women, or if they aren't being properly represented, then if they quit, we don't have as strong as an economy anymore. All right, that was my process for women's rights. Then I moved on to freedom of speech. Oh, actually, the negative for that would be women have equal rights. Then I asked how so? How many rights do they share? And how can we determine if the rights are equal? My warrant was women and men alike are allowed to vote, and we all have freedom of speech. These were just two truth statements that related back to the claim. Then I went on to my impacts. Women and men's equality lead to a significant economic prosperity of the country. So lead to significant economic prosperity of the country, right? And that was my positive and negative for the women's rights prompt. Next was freedom of speech. My initial claim was people's freedom of speech should be restricted. I wasn't sure if that was a claim or just a resolution, so I wanted to dive deeper. So then I said people's freedom of speech should not allow them to hate crime, and I assumed that that was too specific of a claim, so I didn't use it. So then I said people in the U.S. don't have freedom of speech. I used this one, and my question for that was, how can freedom of speech be measured or determined, and how how don't they have freedom of speech, right? So how so again? My warrant was, or were my warrants were incitement is illegal, and hate crime is illegal. Therefore, we don't have freedom of speech, and consequently causes a significant lack of representation of our country, leading to the misrepresentation of our country. Right? That's what I had for the negative. And then I moved on to the affirmative. I just did it like this because I felt that it was easier to go negative than affirmative. I had people have freedom of speech, right? Then I asked myself, well, how do we have freedom of speech? And this was really the only question that I could find about my claim. I think it was maybe too small. But the warrants for that are people are able to curse, speak their mind, and write the things that we wish to speak on paper, and it's allowed. It's not outlawed to say something discriminatory, although you shouldn't. Therefore, we should keep this right because it encourages the development of our country through diversity and freedom. I said that because if we have people coming together and speaking, yes, if we have people coming together speaking, we have all these different ideals, and the if we included it, we would have a complete representation, and everyone's voice would be heard, right? So I feel like that's very impactful. Thank you for your time. Yes, that's all I have. Thank you.